You'd never forget the moment someone makes you feel like you're nothing. For me, it happened at 32,000 feet and lasted all of 5 minutes. My name's Ethan Cole. I'm not flashy, not rich, not the loudest guy in the room, but I'm the kind of man who remembers everything, especially the people who think they're better than everyone else. Let me take you back. 3 years ago, I was flying home from a business trip. I'd spent the past month in Manila negotiating a logistics contract that quite frankly was above my pay grade, but I delivered. My boss promised me a promotion if I sealed the deal, and I did. So there I was, in the airport lounge, exhausted but proud. I'd just gotten an upgrade to business class thanks to some loyalty points I forgot I had. It felt like a small reward for grinding in silence. Flight 906 to New York, Gate 12 boarding. I waited my turn, polite patient, then handed over my boarding pass. The gate agent scanned it, smiled and waved me on, row 3 window seat. Now here's where everything changed. As I approached my seat, I saw her. Tessa Morgan, impeccably dressed, blonde hair pulled into a perfect bun, diamond earrings that screamed wealth. She was seated in the aisle seat, scrolling through her phone like she owned the plane. When I gestured to the window seat, she looked up, frowned, and said, "You must be mistaken. This seat is already taken." I showed her my ticket. She barely glanced at it. "That can't be right," she said. "I specifically requested this row. Maybe you should go back to coach." Coach, like it was a disease. I stayed calm. "I think there's been a mix-up." She waved down a flight attendant with the kind of finger snap you only see in movies. They exchanged whispers. Tessa leaned in like they were co-conspirators. And then the attendant turned to me, with apologetic smile and all, and said, "Sir, there seems to be a seat available in Economy Plus. You won't lose any flight privileges. Would you mind relocating?" I looked back at Tessa. She smirked, that little twisted smirk, like she'd won something. I could have made a scene, but I didn't. I just nodded, turned around, and walked back down the aisle, past rows of indifferent strangers, until I found my new seat, middle seat, no legroom, right beside a crying baby. I sat there, fuming. Not at the airline, but at her. Most people would have let it go. But I'm not most people. Because something about Tessa's face stuck with me, that smug look, the way she spoke to me like I was beneath her. I had no clue who she was at the time, but fate, or maybe irony, had plans for us. Fast forward 11 months. A lot changed. I didn't get the promotion. Instead, I got fired. Turns out the company was bleeding money, and my contract, the one I fought for, was part of a budget cut. I spiraled for a bit, depression, rage, sleepless nights. But then I took charge of what I knew, my logistics knowledge, my overseas contacts, and the blueprint of that deal. And I started something of my own. A lean, efficient freight firm that catered to luxury brands needing discreet, fast shipping. I called it Viridian. Within a year, I had clients from Milan to Dubai. By year 2, I was running operations from a Manhattan office with floor-to-ceiling windows. And then, life handed me a gift. We were hosting a private bidding round for new PR firms. My assistant brought in a short list of candidates. Guess whose firm was at the top? Morgan Sterling Agency. CEO, Tessa Morgan. I stared at the name for a long time. At first, I thought maybe it was coincidence. But then I looked her up. There she was, perfectly filtered on LinkedIn. Same face, same smirk, and just like that, everything came flooding back. The plane, the seat, the smirk. I approved her company for the final interview round. In fact, I insisted she personally attend the pitch. My assistant raised a brow. "You sure? She's more of a name than a negotiator." I smiled. "Oh, I'm sure." The meeting was set for the following Thursday. Conference room 4, glass walls, minimalist style. I wore a charcoal suit, no tie, just enough presence to command the room. At 11:03 a.m. she walked in, heels clicking, portfolio in hand, eyes scanning the space like she owned it, until she saw me. Our eyes locked, and I swear for just a second I saw confusion, then hesitation, but she recovered fast. "Good morning, I'm Tessa Morgan. Thank you for the opportunity." I stood, shook her hand, firm grip, cold fingers. "Pleasure to meet you," I said, pretending not to recognize her. "Let's hear what you've got." She gave her pitch, slick, polished, rehearsed, but her eyes kept drifting to mine. I could tell something was bothering her, that eerie sense of familiarity she couldn't quite place. When she finished, I stood and paced slowly. "You know," I said casually, "I used to fly a lot before I started this company, spent a lot of time getting bumped around by people who thought they were more important." Her smile froze. "Business class was always interesting. You meet the best and worst of people when legroom's involved." She swallowed hard. I'm not sure I follow," she said, voice a little unsteady. I turned and looked her dead in the eyes. "I think you do." Silence. Her confidence cracked, just for a second, and in that crack I saw recognition. Her eyes widened slightly, just a flicker, but enough. The next day, my assistant asked if we were shortlisting her firm. I shook my head. "No," I said. "I'm going with someone who understands what respect looks like, even when no one's watching." I never heard from her again, but sometimes I imagined the moment it clicked for her, when she sat at her desk, stared at my name, and realized who I was, the man she booted from his seat like I didn't matter. And now, she was the one being politely dismissed. No tantrums, no revenge fantasies, just a clean, sharp reversal, a return to sender. People say revenge is best served cold. I disagree. It's best served quiet, without screaming, without gloating, just a subtle, slow burn, like watching someone trip on the arrogance they left behind years ago. And for what it's worth, I fly private now. Window seat, always. What do you think was going through Tessa Morgan's mind in those silent moments after our meeting? And what might she have done differently if given a second chance? You can share in the comments section.